of the sport's best will tell you that a strong mental game may be the most important trait a bowler can develop. Kelly Kulick overcame unthinkable pressure to become the first woman to win a title on the PBA Tour.
5 in a row. How about that, America?
If he goes strike, 9 spare, Rhino Page wins his first ever major.
On the flip side, distraction, in this case a question about the shot clock used for television shows, can lead to a nightmare.
Shot clock's already started. I just got pins.
Oh my goodness gracious. Patrick Allen wins.
While bowling is largely considered a physical game, the mental aspect is what normally separates the top players. As Yogi Berra once said, 90% of the game is 50% mental, or something like that. So, getting distracted and losing your focus can be very costly at any level. In this section, we'll talk about ways to keep your mind focused and on task so that you can perform at your highest level. There's a lot of talk about pre-shot routines. Some are shorter and some are longer. Mine, I wipe off my shoes, wipe off my ball, left shoe again, a couple of seconds about what I'm doing, get up and throw it. You have some that are like Randy Peterson and Walter Ray, get up there in no time at all. And next we'll go to Carolyn Doran Ballard, who probably takes as long as anyone I know.
Kind of ironic, they've asked me to talk about the pre-shot routine. That's something very important to me and is a very important part of my game. It helps me mostly mentally. I'm going to tell you what I do to put me into that moment where everything else is just a blur. Before I pick up my bowling ball, the first thing I do is I close my eyes at the settee area and I visualize my shot. After that, I pick up my towel and my rosin bag, pick up my ball, and I wipe my ball off 4 times. This is the part that's probably the most important, and I really can't explain why. It just is. I close my eyes while I am rotating my rosin bag and just squeezing it. I don't know why it helps me, but while I'm closing my eyes, I am putting myself in a very positive place with positive thoughts. At the US Open and the Women's World Championships, I can tell you what I was thinking about. I was thinking about my husband and my daughter. That puts me in a good, positive place. It makes me feel calm, and now I'm ready to bowl. I suggest that you put yourself in a positive place. Negative thoughts is not what you need before you walk on the approach. Negative thoughts will not make you the bowler you need to be. So remember, get a pre-shot routine. It's going to get you focused and get you to the point you need to be.
See the ball, be the ball. Often visualization is a big part of the mental game, and one of those big choices can be targeting and how you look at a target. You have to make the choice to physically focus on that target, and we're going to see one of USBC's most technologically advanced products to show you how to target.
Visualization is a really important part of bowling. It starts way back in the settee area before you even pick up the bowling ball. The great thing about visualization is it's something you can practice at home. It's all about closing your eyes, visualizing that perfect shot off your hand, and watching the motion as it goes down the lane, hitting the pocket. Rod, we have a great tool here at the ITRC for visualization.
Yeah, we have what we call the goggles, and the goggles is a neat innovation that we have that we actually can see what a bowler's looking at. So even though the bowler is visualizing what they want the ball to do in transition going down, we can actually see what they're looking at when they pick up the ball and the motion that the ball is making down the lane. The interesting thing that we found so far is there's a distinct difference between mid-level bowlers and high-end bowlers. Our mid-level bowlers their eyes are all over the place. They kind of think they're looking at a target and they'll jump off to the left, jump off the right, look up and down, and they'll swear they're looking at the target. But when we get to the advanced bowlers, elite bowlers, what have we seen?
With the elite bowlers, usually what we watch is our break point from down the lane back towards the foul line. That allows us to watch the lane back to front, front to back. Very rarely do we look side to side.
And what's interesting is we've seen it on generations, different generations brought. Some are based off target and they stay focused on that one target at the end. Others that we're seeing on the new players are constantly moving up and back, but everything's in linear, front, back, up in the lane. Nothing going horizontal and side to side.
One of the great things I found with the goggles is it really showed me on some of the shots where I really thought I hit my target and I was getting my ball to that break point. It showed me by fact that I was not hitting my target, so it brought out some points that I needed to work on.
And we've actually seen too, some players have been almost astounded at how much their head moves around. With the goggles on there, we can actually see how much their heads are moving around. Some players even close their eyes at the moment of release. They're trying to get that little extra stuff on the bowling ball, and they actually close their eyes. They don't believe it until they actually see it on these goggles. And it actually, once their mind sees it, just like the visualization, then they'll believe it, then they can do it.
So actually what you're telling me is the goggles, and you're telling me I'm not perfect.
Oh, wow. How do you answer that?
Pressure situations. We've all been in them. It doesn't matter if it's for your first 200 game, your first 300 game, a league championship, or the US Open. We've all been in them. We've all failed in them at some point, and hopefully we've all succeeded in them. How you deal with these pressure situations has a lot to do with how others view you as successful or not. And largely how much pressure you feel is how much you make up about how important that moment is. Ultimately, you're still only walking about 15 feet and trying to hit a target on a lane. But many things like money, title, teammates, trophy, all these things can add much more to a particular situation. The most pressure I ever felt was at the US Open and having to strike for a win on one of the toughest patterns I ever bowled on. But what made it the hardest was all the surrounding things that I made up about it as well.
Gotta be a strike. Gets it.
That makes up for a bunch of them right there. Woo!
We're going to go with two of the most successful players to ever play our sport and get some of their thoughts on how to handle pressure situations.
Beautiful shot. And she gets it.
Oh, and she's right again, and the 7 goes down this time.
Big shot actually early in the match. Boy, you can hear the crack from here, Marsh.
Just pure, great shot off her hand.
Handling pressure. It's really funny. After a TV show and I would get home, people would look at me and say, "You look so calm on TV. It looks so easy." You have no idea. It's just not that easy.
It really isn't. It's the one thing that I struggled with most in my game over the years. And I remember when it sort of changed for me. I had been working with a sports psychologist, and I'd been through a few, and I would just get on TV and panic, being so afraid of making a mistake, disappointing my family, my friends, and I was almost paralyzed. And so I think working with Dr. Dean Hinnitzen, he's helped me really feel like I just had so many regrets in the past, and it's so much better to get home, look myself in the mirror, and not feel bad about who I was when I threw the ball.
It's funny, you try to stay as positive as you can, especially in those pressure situations, because you don't want to make a mistake. But one of the things I found was I got into the fact of being away from bowling when the women's tour folded. I lost that mental toughness. You know, when you're used to doing something all the time, like a pre-shot routine where it puts you in that moment, it gets you focused. I lost some of my mental focus, what was important. So I came to the ITRC, and Kim and Rod helped me over the last year or so on really trying to find out where I needed to be at that moment to help me excel.
Right, and I think in just staying present, that's one of the things that, in coaching I've found that getting players to recognize that every single shot counts, whether they're in practice, league play, tournament play, to make every shot matter. So when it comes down to it, you need to make that great shot to win the Queens or the US Open or the Masters or, win your league title. It's no different than what you did and what you've practiced over and over again.
And listen to this reaction.
Come on, CD, baby. Yeah!
Calling out her own initials. Come on, CD.
And it's really hard when you're thinking that all these people are watching you. Oh my gosh, what are they going to think of me? It's really not what they think of you. It's what you think of yourself. And one of the things I really had to get the grip on again is that I am in the moment. I'm going to try the best I can. And if I fail, which is not a bad thing, I realize what I did, I make the change, and hopefully I don't do that again on the next shot. So really, failure is a learning experience. Although you may not like it, it's something you really have to take notice of and just make the right adjustments.
Still got to be aggressive. I totally agree. Let's see what happens.
Beautiful.
Kim Terrell. Kearney is the new 2008 U.S. Women's Open champion.
Right, and it's having that good perspective of, I think that's one of the great things, and unfortunately not having a women's tour anymore and not getting to play every single week, you get to go home and be normal and realize that, as much as it matters and it's how you pay your mortgage and how you define your success, that it's a game. Give yourself a break. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we'll throw great shots when it matters, and sometimes we won't.
Sometimes we're great, sometimes we're not, but we're great in other ways. And really, the mental focus and the visualization has really helped me, especially being here at the I2RC when we've done the goggles and worked with Team USA, taking a step back and realizing that when I do make a mistake, don't think too far ahead. Think about staying in that moment, that there's, it's one of those things, don't think about the 10th frame, I'm only in the 3rd, because then I missed the 4th to the 9th frame and the game is over. So that was really important to me, was stop thinking ahead, stop putting so much pressure on myself, because I did have a tendency to beat myself up a lot. It was always me. It was, why couldn't you do better? Why are you making mistakes? And really, you helped me take a step back and say, you know what, it's okay. So let's just move on to the next frame and take one shot at a time.
So you can make educated decisions.